Often we create applications and we want others to see, but what is the limitation on the licensing related to PowerApps and our ability to share with others? So stay tuned. We're going to jump right into some of the ins and outs of PowerApps licensing. In this example, I'm going to share from my local test environment that I own with my work environment, primarily because I have full access to my environment. So let's say I want to share this Lush desktop with someone outside of Lush Advisors. So I'm just going to click on here and I'm going to hit share. Now, as soon as I hit share, I'm going to type in who I want to share it with. Now, in this case, I'm going to share it with my work email. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now the key here, and it's warning you right now, is you want to make sure that all of these tables, that they have access to these tables. If they don't have access to the tables, the sharing is not going to work. So how do we check to make sure they have access to those tables? Now you're going to have to know where these lists are, where this data is sitting in your environment. I happen to know. So I'm going to go over, notice it's in a SharePoint environment. So I'm going to go to SharePoint, and here is the information within SharePoint. And I'm going to click here on members, and I'm going to click here on, I notice that member is not there. So I'm going to hit add members, and I have to hit here because this is an external guest. So I'm going to go right there, go to Outlook, and now it's going to pull me into my group area with Outlook groups. And notice here, I have right here personal. So what I need to do is add somebody to this. So if I click here on members, it's going to say who the members are. And then if I click on add members, now I can go ahead and type in who I want to share that information with, which happens to be myself, but it's at au.af.edu. And I'm coming up as a guest, and it says that one member will be added, me. I could add others if I wanted to, but then I'm just going to click on add here. Now what this is going to do is it's going to add that user to this Outlook group. Added successfully. I'm going to close, and now notice that is right there. It's added. Now, why is this important to understand? Because Outlook groups are the core of everything within Office 365, I think. Everything may be an exaggeration, but it is the foundation for much of what Outlook 365 offers. So when we go to share things and add people to SharePoint lists and things of that nature, we need to make sure that they're in and added as a member of that Outlook group. So we went ahead and added that user, and let's go back to the app. Now we're going to send this right here, and we're going to send out an email invite so we can see what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and do that and just hit share. And you're going to see it's going to update the permissions, and everything was saved. We're good to go. Now it's showing the guest right as a user. So let's go over to that email environment and see what that invitation looks like. You can see here within my email that I have an email here welcoming me to the personal group. Remember, that's the group when we were inside of SharePoint, that inside of my personal environment that we're on. Then it also sent me and says, hey, look, we've gone ahead and shared this desktop application with you. Now remember, I am not a tenant of this environment. So let's go ahead and click on that application and open it up. Now it's going to ask for my permission. I'm going to hit allow. And now we're going to see the information appear within our environment. Now we're within our guest environment. So I am a guest looking at this application that's been developed in a completely different tenant. Now you would never know that that's the case, but that is the case. So what happened with the licensing? Why did it work when we transferred over? We didn't give a special license from the home tenant, from the visiting tenant. There's no license that was shared here because this app uses a list, and it's a very simple application, and it doesn't require a license because the tenant that I shared with already has a license for PowerApps, so it's licensed to run PowerApps. So if your tenant is already running PowerApps in their environment, which comes with most of the Microsoft environments, then it's not going to be an issue when you go and share that application. But let's go ahead and see what it looks like when we share with an environment that does not have the right level or does not have PowerApps within its environment. Now we've signed on to a free version of Office 365. So this is the lowest version. Most organizations would have a paid version, but notice PowerApps does not exist within this environment. So let's go ahead and share with this environment, and then we can see what happens when we try to share to this environment. So let's go ahead and see if I have them in. Oops, I do. Jeff Lush at msn.com, and I'm going to hit share. Again, we're going to send out the invite, and we're going to hit go. Now it will do it. We can go ahead and close that out, and let's go back over here to email and see what we have. So now as we look at this, we can see again we've been given the application. Let's go ahead and open the app. Now it's going out and it's looking basically at my environment, and now it's saying, what account do you want to use to get into PowerApps? And it's going to say you don't have a PowerApps in your plan. PowerApps needs to be signed by your organization. So in this case, which I'm not going to do for this example today, but in this case, we're going to hit close. We're not going to be able to see the data. So we need to make sure so one of the questions you can ask if you're going to share a PowerApp with somebody is, hey, do you have PowerApps? And if the answer to that question is, oh yeah, when I look at my Office 365, I have PowerApps, you're good to go. You can share the app. As long as you open up and share all the content related to it, you'll be good to go. But if for some reason they do not have access to PowerApps, their subscription to Office 365 does not allow that, then you cannot share that information. There's another exception to the rule is if you're sharing in a secure environment, you may not be able to pass through the firewall. Sharing may not be possible. So whether or not this personal app can be shared into a NIPR environment, for example, for the US DoD, is something we're not going to test today, but may be a factor that you will not be able to use that app. Outside of that, that's as easy as it is to share a PowerApp. Remember, within your organization, you can share within your organization with no issues at all. The key, though, that you have to remember is you got to use lists or Excel spreadsheets as your data source. If you're going to use Dataverse, then you're going to need to use PowerApps for Teams and see other videos on that topic.